Welcome, nature detectives. I'm Conrad Baker. I'm an outdoor educator with the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation at Letchworth State Park, and today I have a nature mystery for you. It's a beautiful spring day. Birds are singing, animals are out and about. I had the privilege of seeing one of those animals up close and personal, and I think we can use our nature tools to figure out what kind of animal it is and how it helps us every single day. I'll show you the animal right here, safely inside my scientific jar of science. Now, some of you might have some guesses about what kind of animal this is in general. You might recognize this as some kind of frog, but being nature detectives, we can use our nature tools, 3 nature tools, our eyes, our fingers, and our ears to figure out what kind of frog it is in particular. The first nature clue that jumped out at me was its color. It has some cool greenish skin with some nice dark brown spots, speckles and spots all down its back and on its sides. On its belly, it looks kind of whitish, ivory, cream colored, and all the way down onto its legs, on the insides of its legs. But on the back of its legs and on its back in general, it has those really cool spots all up and down, like some kind of big cat maybe. Really cool. Second nature clue that jumped out at me was when I spent a teeny tiny time when I grabbed the animal with my hands, feeling its skin. I could feel its skin for just a second. The skin is very sensitive, so I'm keeping it in the scientific jar of science, but I could feel that it was very, very smooth. Totally smooth, no bumps, ridges, spines, or horns on it. It didn't have any sort of big puffy glands sticking off of its neck or anything. So this was definitely an animal with smooth skin that was also kind of slimy. It felt really cool and slippery when I touched it for a very short time. But I didn't want to injure the animal, so I put it in the scientific jar of science. Third nature clue. If this frog was in a singing mood, which it probably isn't, being stuck inside the jar, if it was in a singing mood, it would make a sound something like... Now, maybe you've heard a sound like that before in your lives, maybe down the hall from where you sleep at night. It sounds kind of like somebody snoring really loudly. These animals can make an awful lot of noise, and when they do, it sounds kind of like somebody snoring. Let's put all our nature clues together. We have a frog that sings like somebody snoring. Kind of cool. We have a frog with really smooth skin with no bumps or lines or ridges or anything on its back. And we have a frog with this cool speckly brown pattern all over its back and on its legs. This must be a leopard frog. A leopard frog. Now, leopard frogs are very common. Maybe you've seen them when you've been on your nature adventures. They are terrific predators of insects, especially aquatic insects and flying insects. And mosquitoes fall into both of those categories, spending part of their time in the water in their lives and part of the time flying around as adults. So leopard frogs are wonderful, successful predators of mosquitoes, which means those mosquitoes are less likely to bite us, less likely to make us sick. This is actually the first frog of any kind that I've seen this year. The frogs, of course, being cold-blooded, unable to make their own body heat, depend on their surroundings to keep them warm, and so they can jump around and do their froggy business. The temperature today is about 40 degrees, so this frog is probably pretty chilly. I think that this frog has recently emerged from hibernation. Hibernation, as you may know, is a science word that means a very deep sleep. Leopard frogs and many, many other kinds of frogs will go into such a deep sleep that they almost can't be woken up. They are down in a body of water, either a lake or a pond or a stream or even a shallow pond that almost completely dries up in the late fall. As long as there's just a little bit of water left in it, frogs can hibernate it. They go under the water, under the mud, and the water freezes over top of them. They're sealed underneath, and they don't take a breath from maybe even as early as the Thanksgiving or Christmas time all the way to St. Patrick's Day. Really, really long time where they're absorbing all of the oxygen that they need to live through that special, smooth, slippery skin. which is why it's so important to, when you're handling frogs of any kind, to keep your handling of them to a minimum. And if you're going to look at them up close, try to keep them in a scientific jar of science. So thank you so much for joining me for today's Nature Mystery. If you have any questions about leopard frogs or other frogs native to New York State, pop a comment in the comment section below the video. Share this video with your friends to put their nature detective skills to the test. And as always, pop a like on Letchworth State Park's Facebook page to stay tuned for more nature mysteries.